Hey, what is up? We're going to be talking through how to lose 30 pounds in 6 months without having to go hungry, without having to log your food, and without having to give up all of your favorite meals. I'm going to be showing you a simple, proven nutrition system, which is the singular focused fat loss formula that will allow you to make small but specific and targeted changes that give you big results. I'm also going to be showing you the exact same strategy that I've personally used and have used with over 100 executives and business owners, most of them who are guys in their 40s and 50s who've been able to get in the best shape of their life even though they're still working 10 to 12 hours a day or traveling frequently. This is not about overhauling your entire life all overnight. It's about focusing in on just one impactful change at a time so that you can start seeing results like losing 1 to 2 pounds per week, having more energy every morning, and fitting better into your clothes. So whatever you do, do not leave this video and stick around. Make sure you stick around for the whole thing because I'm going to be giving you everything that you need to know in order to start losing body fat and building momentum today. Now, I get it. Do not take my word for it. I want to show you that I'm not just some random guy on the internet or some other fitness influencer that's going to tell you that you need to change everything about your life overnight and that's how you're going to get into great shape. This process has worked well for me and you're going to see it has worked well for so many other guys just like you.
All right, so I want to show you guys some of these results because these results, honestly, they speak for themselves. So Matt's over on the left-hand side. Actually, Matt and Ed are both CFOs. Matt on the left-hand side, he came to me originally because he was feeling uncomfortable in his clothes. He didn't like the way that he looked. He had a backyard pool, an awesome pool, and he hated taking his shirt off when company was over. He found when he was golfing, his golf shirt was coming untucked, and things were just fitting in all the wrong places. So he had tried doing a lot of different things before him and I had met. He was working out consistently, but whenever he would travel or whenever his days would get really busy, which is frequently, he would always fall off track. So Matt's been able to lose almost 20 pounds, or like 28 and a half pounds as of right now in the last 6 months. Ed was in a very similar boat where he came to me because he noticed that he was starting to slow down. Ed's in his early 50s and he knew his golf game was starting to take a hit. He knew he didn't have the afternoon energy. At the time when Ed and I were working together, his company was actually going through an acquisition, so he was working 12 to 14 hour days for most of the time that we were working together, but he was still able to drop 30 pounds just by focusing on nutrition and making some changes. We really didn't change the workout routine that he had really at all. Andrew's also working a lot, so he travels a lot for the company that he owns, and he's got 2 young kids. So in the picture on the left-hand side, he was working out with a personal trainer 3 or 4 days a week for almost a year. He was getting stronger, but he wasn't actually losing any weight. That's when he realized that nutrition had to be the thing that changed. So by us just making some nutrition adjustments, keeping his workout routine exactly the same as it was, he was able to drop 25 pounds of body fat and put on 5 to 7 pounds of muscle mass. You can tell he's just looking way leaner, feeling more confident going on vacation, just feeling better about himself, and able to do so while still going and enjoying vacations with his family, still going out and having a couple cocktails with his wife on date nights. Grant over on the right-hand side, Grant was able to drop about 35 pounds in 3 months that we were working together. And the cool thing about Grant is he really didn't implement working out. Now, obviously, I'm a supporter of getting fitness alongside of it, but in the circumstances he had, working out just wasn't an option. So he's able to lose all of that weight just by making some simple nutrition adjustments. And the thing that really pushed Grant over the edge to start working with me was the fact that in his job, he has a lot of people under him, and he's putting together training videos all the time. He's always on Zoom calls, and every Zoom call he would get to the end of it and he couldn't find a screenshot for his thumbnails for the video that he liked the way that he looked. He knew he had to make some changes, plus his health markers coming back. He's got a young family, so he knew he needed to make some changes, and he looks great now. Both of these gentlemen, similar boat, are both about the same age in their early 40s, and both travel a ton for work. So Aaron was doing group classes before we started working together, but really had no focus on his nutrition. So just by making some nutrition adjustments and some small tweaks to his fitness, he's able to put on a ton of muscle. You can tell just by his stature, able to put on muscle and lose a lot of body fat. And then Dave on the right-hand side, he had a little bit more weight to lose, and over the course of the time that we were together, he lost almost 55 pounds in the course of a year. And the cool thing for him was that he enjoyed going out at his cabin and having a couple cocktails on the weekend on the pontoon boat. He had activities that he enjoyed, going to ice cream, pizza with his kids, and he was still able to do all of that and still see amazing results. So you can tell for him, it looks like a different human being, which is awesome to see. And then these last two guys. So Jeff's on the top. Jeff is a finance director. Jeff's got 5 kids and travels at least once a month for 3 to 4 days where he's gone. In the past, he really had a hard time sticking to his nutrition on the days that he was busy and when he would travel. So he'd see some good success for 2 or 3 weeks, and then when he would travel, he'd fall off, and it was just this vicious cycle. So Jeff's been able to lose almost 30 pounds. He's at like 28, 29 pounds in a 6-month time frame, and it's the strongest he's ever been. Jeff, kind of like Matt, actually, he's got this great outdoor pool in his backyard that he started dreading having company over because he didn't like the way they looked. He didn't like taking his shirt off at his own backyard pool. And then on the bottom, so Mark is the vice president of the company that he works for, also traveling on a monthly basis. He's spending time in Mexico, spending time in Canada, kind of bebopping all around the U.S. And the nutrition things that he was trying in the past were leaving him feeling really tired, feeling weak. He hated logging his food, didn't like counting calories, and that was the only way that he knew how to see any results. For Mark, a big piece is some of his health markers, particularly his A1C, his blood sugars, were not in the spot that they should be in, especially at his age. So as we were able to work together, he was able to improve those health markers and just build a lot of strength and physique that he just didn't have in the past, even though he was working out really, really consistently. And this last one, I'm going to dive more into my story here in a minute, but I just wanted to share this because this strategy obviously worked for a lot of these guys that I just looked at, but I was struggling with a lot of the same things, and I just felt like my days were being consumed by my nutrition. I was trying to figure out what was keto, if it was paleo, counting all my calories, counting my carbs. And again, I'm going to talk about this more in a minute, but the good news is that I'm going to be showing you the exact strategy that I used with these guys, but the same one that I learned myself. And we'll be going through that step by step in these upcoming slides.
Now, before we dive in, I want to show you and share with you how I discovered the singular focused fat loss formula. Now, if you don't know me, my name is Jeremy. I'm a girl dad, I'm a husband, and I've been in the fitness and the nutrition space since 2014. And back then, when I first started, I was 20 pounds overweight, even though I was working out 5, 6, sometimes 7 days a week and running half marathons on the side just to get more cardio. Regardless of how much I was working out, I still felt like that chubby middle school kid whenever I had to take my shirt off. And I just figured, well, I just have to work out harder and I would start seeing better results. I wish I would have realized it sooner, but I realized that that was the totally wrong mindset. No matter how much I exercised, nothing changed because I wasn't addressing my diet. So I went and I tried everything. I tried keto, meal replacement, paleo, calorie counting, you name it. I'd lose a few pounds, I'd gain it back. I was stuck because I did not have a clear and sustainable nutrition strategy, and I was just trying to do too many things at the same time. So I finally started to really take my nutrition seriously, not just trying to work out more, because that's where I was going to be able to see the best fat loss results. So I stopped trying to overhaul everything, and instead I tried to focus on one simple and impactful change at a time. And for me, that first thing was timing my meals around when I needed the energy most, like before my workouts or during the busiest parts of my day. So I stopped skipping meals and eating just as little as I could. And suddenly I realized I had more energy throughout my day and for my workouts. I was no longer overeating or binging later in the day because I was starving. And the scale finally started to move in the right direction. Now, it took me years to figure this out. Years of relying on fitness alone, and then years trying to figure out how to fit nutrition into a sustainable lifestyle. But once I was able to nail that nutrition strategy, everything changed from there on out. I finally started losing weight. I was able to keep it off. I didn't have to log my food. I didn't feel restricted, and I was still able to have pizza nights with my family. And that's why in this program, we focus on nutrition first. Now, fitness is important, and I'll help you with that with simple and effective workouts, but without the right nutrition strategy, you will always feel stuck. Now, I've used this strategy, the singular focused fat loss formula, to help over 100 executives and business owners lose body fat, build muscle, and get in the best shape of their lives. And what I'm here for today is to help you to make sure that you can avoid the years of mistakes that I made so that you can start seeing results faster. because you do not need to make drastic changes or spend endless hours working out to see results. The small and strategic shifts in your nutrition are the key to lasting fat loss. And I'm going to be showing you exactly how to make that happen.
All right, so let's actually look at the formula and look at these steps. The formula that we're going to be looking at that I've designed for this program is the singular focused fat loss formula. So it's got really 3 main steps, and that first step is going to be doing a precision audit. The second step is going to be making some strategic shifts, and then the third step is going to be implementing some feedback loops. And as we dive into this and go through each one of these in detail, if you're watching this and you are the type of person who is the type A personality, if you like the checklists, if you like having a clear process, you're going to really enjoy the types of things that we're going to be talking about. And know that as we go into this, if you historically have struggled to lose weight in the past because you don't have a lot of time, because your schedule is unpredictable, because you travel often, we're going to be addressing all of those types of things. And on top of that, you'll understand how to do this without having to log your food, without having to do boring meal prep, and still being able to enjoy the foods that you enjoy, right? And the things that you can be doing with your family. All right, so this is the precision audit, which is step number 1. And the whole goal here is essentially finding the minimal effective dose. It's about finding the first shift that needs to be made in order for you to see big results. Think of this as being your kickstart. So I want you to avoid making the same mistakes that most people make early on in a diet or early on in a nutrition program, which is making huge changes and wholesale changes and trying to overhaul your whole day at one time. What we really need to do is make the right shifts that are going to actually have impacts on your day. So I've got a lot of clients, they work in finance, right? And they're CFOs, they're very data driven. And I like using this analogy because if you were trying to have an impact on your bottom line for your company, instead of focusing in on small trivial things like spending time trying to figure out what your coffee budget is for the office, right? What you should be doing is focusing in on the big ticket items like reducing your operational costs or figuring out how to optimize cash flow, right? Those are the things that actually matter. Well, I want you to be able to use the same thought process in your nutrition. So how I suggest doing this is taking photos for 7 days, and this is going to help identify the shifts that will actually move the needle, and you'll start to see the patterns in your eating. You'll start to see the things that you didn't even recognize that you were eating on a day-to-day basis. Now, I know what you're probably thinking when I'm talking about this. You're probably thinking, okay, I've already tried to eat healthier. I've already tried to make small tweaks, but they just haven't worked. And most of the time, these small tweaks fail because people are either changing too much all at once and they can't stick to all of them, or the adjustments or the tweaks that you made are trivial in the grand scheme of things. Like 2 easy examples would be, hey, I'm just going to drink more water, or I'm not going to eat after 7 o'clock at night. Now, those are small adjustments, but they don't actually matter in the grand scheme of life. Instead, what you need to be focusing in on is your carb to protein ratio, for example, or timing your foods around when you need more energy. So now you already understand, you know what you're eating, you know your exact baseline from step number 1. Now we need to start making some strategic shifts. And the way that I like to make those strategic shifts is by focusing on one meal at a time. And what I mean by that is instead of trying to change everything at once, I just want to look at one meal and start making some adjustments. So the best way to do that is to find the meal that is the easiest to change. For most of my clients, and myself included, dinner is hard because it's with the family and there's a lot of moving dynamics. But my lunch I eat by myself, so that's going to be what we would be looking to adjust first. And the beauty of this approach is that we're just going to be changing one food at a time. And you don't need to be logging food at all. And the reason for that is because by just making one adjustment at a time, we can look at this as sort of an independent variable test. When you make one change, you get to see what that result is, and you get that immediate clear feedback. So let's say we make a change and your energy's going up, your pants fit better, you lost a pound or 2 in the week. Well, you know exactly what change gave you that result without having any sort of guesswork. So we don't even need to log the food. We already know why it happened. Now, we can compare that to you overhauling everything all at once. This would be the analogy that I used before about making 10 changes all at once. If you make 10 changes, sure, you might see some progress, but you won't actually know which one of those 10 changes made the difference. So then you're stuck trying to keep up with all 10 of those adjustments and changes because you feel like they all contributed to the result. With this specific method that we're looking at here, you're going to get the results without feeling overwhelming because we picked the one thing that is going to make the biggest impact, and it's going to give you the direct feedback and start building some of those easy wins and some of those small wins which will compound over time. So first of all, like we said, we're going to identify what we need to be adjusting in step number one. Now in the step number 2, we're going to be making some of those shifts. So I know you might be thinking, okay, well, if I'm just changing one thing at a time, how am I going to see results? Don't I need to change a lot all at once? The truth is that one single high impact adjustment or shift is going to deliver much better results even in a short period of time. You'll be able to see more energy, you'll be able to feel your pants fitting differently, you'll lose some weight, and it works long term because you don't get overwhelmed and you can actually stick to it. These wins, day by day, week by week, month by month, give you that consistent progress without ever feeling burned out. And on top of that, if you think about it like this, even if you just made 2 or 3 adjustments over the course of 3 months and you actually stuck to it long term, you would for sure see more results than you would if you made 10 changes but only stuck to them for 1 month and then fell back in your old ways because life got busy. All right, I just wanted to show a couple examples of what these shifts actually look like, right? I want to be able to give you guys value to be able to see, okay, how do I do this on my own? So first example here is going to be of Matt. One of the issues that I had with one of my clients, Matt, when we first started is he was overeating at dinner during volleyball season. So his daughter plays volleyball, his son was in basketball at the same time. He'd go right from work into practice. So he'd go a long period of time without eating, and he would always end up overeating at night. After the kids went to bed, he would end up eating because he had a sweet tooth. The solution, what we did is we identified that, so we started to implement and incorporate some ready-to-drink protein shakes and an apple between work and practice. Ed, you saw pictures of Ed earlier. Ed was skipping lunch or trying to grab something quick and convenient at work, and those usually weren't good choices for him. So the solution was I helped him find a meal prep subscription service that delivered meals right to his door, and they were microwave ready. So it didn't take any more time. It actually saved him time, but he was eating food that more were in line with his goals. Or Grant, we took a look at his picture already as well. And Grant's issue was he had really high sugar in his protein shakes. It was a high sugary protein shake for breakfast. This was a super simple change for him. We just changed the type of protein that he was using, and I gave him some different recipes for protein shakes and added some fruit. He was able to drop 10 pounds in the first 2.5 weeks just by making that change. We didn't change anything else. And that really brings me to the final piece, right? Step number 1, we identified what needs to be changed. We took the audit and we know what we need to do. Step number 2 is we start making one change at a time, usually meal by meal. Now, the third piece of this and the final piece is coming back with that constant feedback loop, because we can't just make one change and then never do anything else. So I've developed, and I've stole this from a couple different resources, but it's the 3 R's, right? So we're going to, on a weekly basis, take a look at what worked well, what didn't work. We're going to be looking at refining, so we'll be adjusting for challenges that you have for the week ahead, being proactive, looking at your travel schedule, seeing if there's events, do you have work dinners, and then we repeat that. So we focus on what works, and then we build the momentum every single week. And as we just are making that one shift or one focus at a time, it's really easy to measure progress without having to log your food, because we get instant data back. We know how you're feeling, we know what your weight looks like, we know how your clothes are fitting every week based on the adjustments that we just made. So what I've noticed has been really interesting over the years with this process, working with my clients, is we can turn this into a much shorter focus, which is going to give very clear action steps. We're only really looking at 1 to 2 weeks ahead. And for most people, this alleviates a lot of that overwhelming feeling of like, oh my gosh, what do I do for the next year? What do I do when I go on vacation? We're just looking at the action steps that really matter for the next 7 days. Now, as we look at this process, a lot of the people that I talk to, they are thinking, okay, well, what happens if I don't see results, right? And that's totally normal. That's a totally natural feeling to be a little bit hesitant or a little bit nervous because you are not logging your food. You didn't make these huge changes at the beginning. But that really is the beauty of this process. The process that we're looking at right now is measured with clear and meaningful metrics. We're looking at your weight on a daily basis. We're looking at your energy level on a daily basis. We're looking at progress photos. We're looking at clothing on a weekly and monthly basis. And if we don't see results that you're expecting, then we just go back into this feedback loop and we make another adjustment. We know exactly why things work and why things don't work. And that's how you can be able to see the results long term and actually stick to this. So what now? If you're still watching this, you really have three options. Number one, you don't do anything. You just keep doing what you're doing. Number two, you try to take everything that we learned here and implement it on your own. Chances are you see some results. It's just going to take you a little bit longer. Number three, you have a conversation and we figure out maybe this program is the right fit for what you're looking for. What I want to do now is just share a little bit more about what that program looks like and make sure that you have all the information that you need, because I've created this specific program for people that are just like you, people that want a clear and concise roadmap, people that do not want to mess around with trial and error, people that don't have a ton of time to spare but know that they're motivated and need to get into shape. So let's take a look at that. Now, first thing that we do inside of the program is do a assessment. Now, again, if you're doing this on your own, you might see results, but chances are you're going to have a hard time figuring out where exactly your starting spot is, or having a hard time identifying what are those 1 to 2 small changes that you need to make that will give you the biggest impact. So what we do inside of the program is we go through an assessment where we identify what those 1 to 2 small changes are so that we can start seeing fast results without having to totally overhaul your day. The second piece is we go through an onboarding call. So you and I, we get on a live onboarding call, and during that call, we create a very clear, very concise, step-by-step plan so that you know exactly what to be doing in that first 7 to 10 days of your program. I'm talking about Amazon links for snacks, specific restaurants, meal suggestions, grocery guides. You'll have absolutely everything that you need to make sure that you see real results in that short period of time. Now, again, this is something that you could do on your own, but chances are there's going to be trial and error, and you're going to be figuring out, how much do I eat? You're going to be wondering, when do I eat? You're going to be wondering, is this the right thing that I should be focusing on? There is zero guesswork when it comes to the program if you decide to take the next step with us. Third, you get live support calls. So for the first 4 weeks, you're going to have live Zoom calls with me to address any challenges. We will be talking through social events, work travel, and we can be proactive and plan ahead to make sure that you get fully supported and you're equipped to navigate anything that comes along with your busy schedule. Now, this is something new, right? So we really want to solidify those new habits and those new action steps early on. Once we get through the first 4 to 6 weeks, then we go to bi-weekly or every other week. They're usually about 30-minute check-in calls, and this is going to help make sure that you stay on track, you still have the accountability, we're able to prevent plateaus, address any setbacks, review what went well, and plan for the things ahead. We can stay focused on your goals without having to spend any unnecessary time meeting with me, and being able to get very self-sufficient throughout this program. Last thing I want is to get done with the program and the program ends and then you feel like you're a fish out of water because you haven't been doing this on your own. Self-sufficiency is really important. Now, along with this, there is app support. This app support is going to break down and essentially your hub for all of the nutrition and fitness data tracking all in one spot. Gives live messaging all in one place, everything tailored towards your specific goals and your schedule. This is the piece that for most people, they really do struggle when trying to do it on their own, is they don't have the support and they don't have the accountability. It's the reason why so many people see awesome results in 4 weeks, but then they slide right back into their old ways once things get busy. They don't have someone to help them navigate and overcome those hurdles. And finally, from the accountability and progress tracking standpoint, you're going to have constant access to all the support that you need with one-on-one messaging, like I had mentioned, but also getting your workouts that are in there, making sure that you know exactly what movements to be doing, making sure that you have safe form, and making sure that you can stay on track regardless of how busy things get. This constant back and forth is that feedback loop that we talked about earlier that's going to ensure that you see results no matter how busy you get.
So guys, if this training helped you out at all, and you are that data-driven executive who already knows that they need to get into shape, you've got two options from here. Number one, you can take everything that I taught you and you can try to figure this out on your own. Chances are eventually you'll see some pretty good success with that. Or if you want help implementing this right now and getting results faster and with less guesswork, then go ahead and just click this link below. You're going to be prompted to fill out a quick form. You'll book a call directly on my calendar, and we'll talk about your goals, where you're at, and whether or not the program that I run could be the right fit for what you're looking for. So if you're sick of trying to do this on your own, you're feeling stuck, you're feeling overwhelmed, then this is for you, and just go ahead and book below. Because chances are you are already driven, but you just need the right plan. The absolute worst case scenario, you leave the call with some free value and some clarity on what's next for you. Best case scenario, you're going to wake up every morning feeling more energized and finally looking and feeling the way that you want, just like all the clients that you saw earlier in this video. So go ahead, click that link below, and I hope to talk to you soon.